TV legend Alan Titchmarsh becomes Chancellor at Winchester University.
It's definitely your lead story, I have absolutely no doubt about that. I just wonder if TV legend is quite the way to introduce him. Not quite a legend as yet, but certainly your top story, so that's definitely the right lead here.
I feel thrilled and tremendously honoured.
And I really like this shot. There's a great depth of focus here. By that I mean, look, this is all sharp and in shot, and this is sort of blurred, and it looks really nice, and it's full of colour. The only issue is, look at him, I can barely see his left eye. So he shouldn't actually be looking that way. He should be looking out towards here, and if he does that, then you bring his face around, and then we see more of his face. So what I've noticed in a couple of the interviews this week is there's too profiling. So you as a reporter come nearer the camera and therefore bring the camera round, and therefore the eye line of the person that you are interviewing will change and you'll be able to see more of the face.
Cameron's speech, live reaction from Winchester.
Fellow policies are really good. It's really nice to hear him saying all these things that he wants to see happen.
Okay, that's fine, and I think it's really good that you're getting a live story as it happens. It's a very good technique to learn, to be able to react to what is going on the day and being able to produce a story about it.
And new groundbreaking stem cell research in the South could cure blindness.
Yes, I would certainly be prepared to put myself forward.
Again, if you just go back to that shot there, you'll see that he's slightly profiling. Look, again, he's looking out of shot, and I've not got enough of this side of his face. So I know it is difficult when you're interviewing blind people because you can't say, can you look over this way? But you need to put yourself in the certain position where you know you can see the whole of this gentleman's face rather than just half of it. And there again, we've got a profiling shot here, and actually turn him round a bit, or you come round nearer this way, this right hand side, and therefore you'll bring his face around as well, and therefore you'll get more of his face and less of the profile.
Put myself forward.
Before you start, Brooke, I just want to say about this bulletin, I think there's a good mix of stories. There aren't enough of them, that's what I would say. I know it's week one, effectively, with the first full bulletin, really. But there needs to be more stories. We need to be able to generate more news, because what we've got here, I think, is 4 packages, and then we go on to sport, and then we have a features preview. So while the length is all right, we end up at about 16 minutes. I think we need more stories. But anyway, back on to the bulletin.
One of the country's most recognisable TV personalities, Alan Titchmarsh, has officially become Chancellor at the University of Winchester.
See, that's a much better line, Ian. That's a really good opening line.
Crowds of people attended a procession today to welcome the broadcaster and author. Our reporter, Laura Harding, caught the action.
Rather than caught the action, you could just say Laura Harding was one of them. You've said crowds of people, so just say she was one of them. So she's in amongst it.
The University of Winchester installed Alan Titchmarsh as its Chancellor today in a formal ceremony.
This is a special day for me.
Bit of a jump. What I've noticed about this, Laura, is you need to have sort of a bit of an idea of how we run a sequence, and if we've never been through sequencing before, it's something we need to do so that shots lead into each other rather than jump all over the place. And I found that this report sort of jumps from one place to another, and if you've got in the previous shot Alan Titchmarsh sitting down, then you need a cutaway potentially of people watching from the audience before you go to this shot. Otherwise it's a little bit strange, him sitting down and then you've got him standing up.
It's also a special day for the university. Today I begin my journey with the University of Winchester.
The ceremony included...
And it's sort of what we say, it's slightly arse about face, in that here he is getting dressed and getting ready into his togs, and we've already seen him in his togs.
Of robes for a role that will last until 2020.
For making me your Chancellor. Thank you.
The whole thing was brilliant and spoke to what, in my view, is a brilliant university, so I was deeply honoured to be here.
And one important thing there, Alastair Stewart. He's not Alistair Stewart. We need. He's a very good friend of the university, but we have to spell his name right. He's Alastair, so that should have been checked. Different ways to spell different names, and Alastair is very particular about the way his name is spelled. But the framing is much better. However, he's very central here. Look at it down this line. He's very central, and in fact, remember our rule of thirds. And if you don't remember it, I will talk to you about it and ask me about it. That's the sort of line he should be. And if you separate, okay, so the eye line is a little bit high, but it's not too bad. There would be the other line. So you've got two lines going across the top. So you're separating the frame into three sides. And then you've got one going down there and one going down there. And those are the natural eye lines that we want to pick out. So Alistair should be here, and we'll try and get that framing right in future.
I feel thrilled and tremendously honoured to be Chancellor of a university that I've long admired.
And I think if we can get a second line in on these Astons down below, we want to put him in, new Chancellor of the University of Winchester. But I've said about this framing before, but the colouring is just fantastic. It really stands out.
Ethos. I love its inclusivity. I love the fact that the students rate it as one of the most important and from their point of view, satisfying universities in the country. To be in the top 4 of student satisfaction speaks volumes to me. It means that students here are happy. Happy students learn well. I'm happy to come in and very quietly learn about it and contribute where I can. I'm not one of those great new brooms who comes in and sweeps everything outside and say, right, there'll be changes. I have a lot to learn before I start doing anything here, but anything I can contribute to from the students' point of view and from the staff point of view, I will. And I do hope students will come up and say hello and not be...
You see, I'm loving this interview. It's a lovely little bit, and you're obviously getting on well, and you're getting the best out of Alan Titchmarsh. But actually, as your main camera, this is a much better angle because you can see more of Alan Titchmarsh. I still don't like the framing of that, where we can see the dog in there, but at least this is better so that we can see more of him.
And go away. I'm very approachable. That should be my role as well. I should be a pair of ears as well as a pair of eyes, and as well as a look in a posh frock.
So it's been a really exciting day here at the University of Winchester as Alan Titchmarsh has become our Chancellor. Students can expect a blossoming relationship over the next 5 years. Laura Harding, Winchester News Online.
Laura, and I think the thing about this is you've got to add something to the whole bulletin and your whole report if you're going to do a piece to camera. And I'm not sure you really add much in there. Also, you must remember that I say always that you have to walk before you start talking. Otherwise, it looks a little bit clunky that you're just stood there, then you start talking, and then you walk. So make sure you walk slowly first, and then you start talking, and then you can edit in that way. I know you're trying to get in a blossoming, a flower line in there. I think, yes, that's fine. I don't think the sound quality is very good. So just try and add something a little bit more in your piece to camera rather than this. This is a bit anodyne in that, and I think you're better.
Prime Minister David Cameron made his speech today at the Conservative Party conference, majoring on issues like housing that hugely impact young people. With live reaction to his speech, our political correspondent Hattie Waldron has this report.
And the use of the word impact there is, you impact upon it's not a direct verb, even if it's a verb at all. So just make sure you're not too colloquial there. By the way, Brooke, though, you are looking very strong as a presenter, and it's a very authoritative reading of the Bully at the moment. It's really good stuff.
This was the scene a few short months ago as David Cameron's Conservatives swept into power across the South.
Is one of the key
Now Cameron is facing the challenge of taking the Conservatives forward at the party's conference in Manchester. Conservative councillor Sean Woodward thought housing would be on the agenda.
I think what you've got to do here, Hattie, is actually start with the latest shots. Any shots of him at the party conference are better than those grainy shots that we used from the general election. Always start with your most recent shots unless there is something really crucial that and a real reason for doing it. And I think you should have started with this and then gone back to the historic shots from the general election. And then you could say, it was only a few weeks ago that blah, 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 blah.
I think you'll have quite a bit to say about various initiatives like extending the right to buy, security matters, stability of the economy, all things really that Labour doesn't offer and by the look of them never will again.
It's a good get to get someone like that. I think that's really good to get him, and obviously we're not at the conference and be able to send back pictures, so well done from that point of view.
Yeah, a group of students watched Cameron's speech live in the WINOL newsroom.
That's a horrible shot. Why would you ever use that? I know you're probably in a rush and you're panicking a little bit, but have a look at it again.
Later, a group of students watched Cameron's speech live in the WINOL
That's
newsroom.
fine. Oh, crash. Oh, it's just not nice. And you've got some people laughing beforehand, and then you've got straight faces. So you've got to think about your edits.
We're moving into the light, but we're not there yet.
But policies are really good. It's really nice to hear him saying these things that he wants to see happen.
As a Scottish person, I found it a bit silly when he slipped up and said Little England as how Europe used Britain.
There was a lot of kind of immature and like kind of silly jokes about things.
My brother's trying to look for a house, so that's quite close to a family thing. And the extremism thing is quite a big thing for me as well.
He tried to fix some problem like the education problem and the housing problem. I think it's pretty good like to hear that he aware of something like this. Like he do care about us.
There were several significant areas of David Cameron's speech. The EU referendum was of course on the agenda.
This is where I didn't quite understand why. Did we not have... it makes sense that actually you've got shots of David Cameron here. I don't think we should have our students in this bit because they are irrelevant, and actually David Cameron is important, and we've got plenty of shots of David Cameron that we should be using.
Splitting the party. Cameron has said he won't be continuing as party leader after this term, so the question remains who will replace him. With the situation in Syria escalating, Cameron needs to know if his party back him over potential airstrikes. David Cameron's speech emphasised on equality and a strong negative attack towards Jeremy Corbyn, but judging from these reactions, he's still got a long way to go to win over the youth vote. Hattie Waldron, Winchester News Online.
Hattie, you look very strong on camera, which is really nice, and again, you've got authority. I would ask you to think about your English because there are a few sort of grammatical errors on this piece to camera that actually... As soon as you do that, you take away from the authority that you are showing as a presenter, which you look very good in vision. But as soon as you make those sort of little fluffs, then people question that and don't listen to what you're saying.
Party back him over potential airstrikes. David Cameron's speech emphasised on equality.
Emphasised on is just emphasised equality.
Negative attack towards Jeremy Corbyn.
A negative attack towards Jeremy Corbyn?
But judging from these reactions, he's still got a long way to go to win over the youth vote. Hattie Waldron, Winchester News Online.
But really promising. So a good start and a difficult thing to do and to be able to turn it around in a day. So you should be really praised for that. Well done.
The student union at the University of Winchester, WINOL's publisher, has issued a warning to students following complaints made by residents. Union officials say the licence and reputation of the union is in jeopardy due to the level of noise students make after attending events that it runs. Our crime reporter, Tio Yi Shen, has the story.
It's a really good link. You've explained everything. You've done it really well. You've read it very well, Brooke. I totally understand what this story is about now. I'm slightly surprised to have a crime reporter on it, but because I'm not sure how many crimes have been committed. But anyway, it's a really strong link, so well done.
After receiving complaints from residents in Winchester, the student union has issued a warning to students to act more
responsibly, but don't worry about that. And it's a really nice opening. The only issue with this whole piece is we haven't got people, at parties or whatever being loud. And I understand there's a reason behind that. But if we had any parties in place without identifying people, then it would be quite nice to have some of that. But you've shot it in a way that you're not obviously revealing who anybody is and blaming anybody. So that's the right thing to do, and that's a really strong opening to your package.
Signs like this behind me are put around Winchester to warn students about excessive noise.
However, that is a piece of the camera that I don't like, because we can see a sign behind you, so you don't need to say it. It's like when you stand in front of a building and you say, this building behind me, we know it's there. So we don't need to be told what it's about, but you could just say that these are there without you being in there. You're not actually adding to the story with your piece to camera at this stage.
Noise really seriously at the student union because it can affect our license. As part of having rights, you also have responsibilities, and so one of those responsibilities is to be, a responsible citizen of Winchester.
Union reps say they are working closely with Winchester City Council to tackle the issue. Yo Yishan, Winchester News Online.
It's short, it's brief, but it tells a story, and there's an element of responsibility about the university, and you've told it well, and we understand. It would be nice to get something from the council. That's what we need. We need them talking to us and being worried about, and maybe knocking on the doors of the people who live nearby saying, is it getting worse? Is the university a pain in the neck? Students just don't care about the noise they make on a Friday night, Thursday night, Monday night, whenever it might be. So you just need a bit more balance to your story. But otherwise, what I like about this story, Cho, is the fact that you are telling a story in a logical way. So from that point of view, very well done.
Get on your bike. That's the message from ministers as they plan to double the number of cyclists in the UK. But doubts have been raised this week over the effectiveness of the scheme to promote electric bicycles. Miriam Naust-Bakken reports.
Again, another strong link. Really well read, Brooke, and it's just very comfortable in front of camera. So all good so far. And I know I like this package coming up.
Bicycles.
Very simple, bit of natural sound there. You can hear the bike, the spokes going round. It's just a really nice, effective way to start a piece.
Are a familiar sight and seen by many as the key to decrease greenhouse emissions, congestion, and help people stay active. The government hopes that
this is a sequence. So Laura, think about this. The way this is put together, this is with real knowledge, and I think, Miriam, you must have some knowledge already because you know how to package and put a sequence together, i.e. a series of shots, different shapes, different sizes, that mean you can put a few things together, i.e. a sequence, and then lead into a grab. So this is sophisticated and well done.
£700,000 electric bike rent scheme will do just that. A local bike shop owner believes the scheme will boost business, but is concerned that the government needs to do more to increase the number of bike users.
The grant provided.
See, 3 different shots there. It's really nice. They're varied. You've got this really tight shot at the end. You have the wide bloke at the establisher, the bloke mending the bike. You understand that. Then you get a different angle, and then you get this tight shot. And then what you've also done is, look, you've just about heard his voice, and actually we haven't seen him yet. And this is backlaying the audio, and it's terrific, and it's quite sophisticated that you hear someone first before you actually see them. You just lay it a little bit underneath the shot, and it's really good, Miriam.
The government will certainly, I think, help our business because it will make more people aware of electric bikes, and then there will be pressure put on the government more to make them perhaps invest more in infrastructure if more people were trying to use bicycles.
On the other hand, a Winchester Cycling Club member said the fund could have been spent more wisely.
I think this is really nice too, because you've just thought about how can I expand this story? Well, who does it affect? Well, of course, let's go to a cycle club. When you introduce somebody, you don't need to say a member of the cycling club, and get his reaction. You could just say, not everyone agrees. And then you've got that ability to caption somebody when they speak, and you can say they're from the cycle club.
I think it'd be probably better to put money into regular bikes. Electric bikes are initially quite expensive on the layout. They're more expensive than a normal road bike. However, anything that encourages somebody to cycle, it's good.
The government is also investing over the next 5 years in cycle training and infrastructure to hit the brakes on congestion. Miriam Nestbacken, Winchester News Online.
And that's just really nice. I mean, you show great sophistication in this, Miriam, and I'm really impressed with the way you've started. We could make you, a very good reporter, but you've got a range of shots in there that shows a maturity of the way that you are dealing with making a package. So it's really, really promising. Well done. It's a well-paced piece all the way through. Really good interviews, decent range of shots, and a nice piece to camera at the end.
And now we're heading over to Georgie Wingrove with the sports. Winchester City FC has...
Georgie, look, you look fantastic on camera. It's just whoever decided to put you outside Allwyn, I think this is. I think my old office used to be up there. And it does not, even though you've got green fields around you and nice flowers here, how does it relate to sport? It doesn't really. Nice to have a goal or something behind you so that it's a little bit more in keeping with sport.
Their season positively. Our correspondent Rory Lemon spoke to manager Paul Masters to find out more.
Rain in Winchester, and it's been raining
And a wobbly shot in Winchester as well. Where is your tripod? That should be steady.
The Denplan Stadium this season. Winchester City are looking to bounce back after being knocked out of the FA Cup by Maidenhead last week. The Citizens are the South and West Division's top scorers and lie just outside the playoffs, despite having only recently been promoted.
I just want to say, I appreciate you've put that in, and that's a good thing. But the framing of this, and you may be all on your own for this, I think, Rory. But the framing is just so much space here. It's not right. You've got too much headroom, so you need to be bigger, and you need to tilt down. So the top of your shot is around about there, and your head is more that size rather than this size, because your background is just too big. I'm glad you've done it in the rain, though. Looks good.
Spoke to manager Paul Masters about their goals for the season.
The chairman and that never really set any goals about being in the playoffs or promotion. But after a good start, the lads are quietly confident that if things go well for us and we keep improving, we've got a right good chance.
City have a host of new faces in their squad, including Brendan Norris, the goalkeeper signed from Hungerford Town. He's broken into the...
What I would say, Rory, is I want to see him. I presume this is him. I don't know. It might be him. But we need to get nearer, and you need to find an angle where you can get a tight shot of him if you're going to talk about him.
After they conceded 7 goals in their opening 2 games. Since then, City have let in just 7 and 10. Masters has been impressed with his new signing.
But to be honest, he came to us late as well.
And can we talk to him too, if we're impressed with him?
Pre-season, and he's got better and better. He's only a young lad, and it's a difficult position as a goalkeeper to be playing week in, week out. But, every week he's getting stronger and he's getting more confident, and he'll have a bright future.
Rory Lemon, Winchester News Online.
Rory, one other thing. Some of those shots from distance look a little bit soft. I don't know if it's because I've expanded the screen, but actually you look at Georgie now and everything is in focus. So I suggest you may need to work on your focus when you're shooting. And what sport needs to guard against, which I said in the conference, is just having dull training shots and then a few pop-up interviews. It just makes the piece really, really samey. You'll find yourself doing it week in, week out. We need to find a way, like being with a player. Is that goalkeeper full-time? Does he have a job? We need to spend some time with him at his job and then see him put on the gloves on a Saturday afternoon. Just be a bit more inventive rather than, here are the guys, here they are training, here's an interview with the manager.
AFC Tottenham have got off to a slow start this season but are hoping to step up their game. Our correspondent Jack Sear takes a look at the work Steve Hollick has done so far.
After a slow start to the season,
AFC Tottenham's league form has picked up in recent weeks. We spoke to Stags boss Steve Hollick about their progress so far and their ambitions for the remainder of the season.
Rory, I think you've just said exactly what Georgie said. You've completely repeated her link, so therefore there is no point having your piece to camera. And it is one of the most criminal things to do in journalism, is to have a link in the studio that then is exactly the same as the opening piece of voiceover or the piece to camera in your package. So you need to guard against that. And if you've done that voiceover or you've done that piece to camera, then it is easy to change the link. You can't change the piece that you've done out there, but it is easy to change the link. So you must make sure that you don't go over exactly the same ground together.
The Stags sit 17th in the table at the moment. Hollick believes that the quality in his squad should see his team a little higher in the league table.
No, I think we, the group of players we've got, I think we were looking to be higher.
And Rory, I just asked what this framing is about. Why? I mean, this is a Channel 4 documentary framing where they put it there. They have something here, probably soft focus in the background, so it's you get the perspective. But here, we need his face here needs to be over here. So by that rule of thirds, there's your first line of thirds when you're splitting the screen up into thirds. And he's there in the right place, but only if he was looking out this way rather than you out that way. So we don't want that space there. We actually want his face there, or him facing out here, looking this way, and you this on the left-hand side of the camera.
You know, one reason or another, we didn't really start the season off particularly brilliantly, sort of defeat after defeat, and we couldn't get going.
Before Hollick came into management earlier this year, he was a goalkeeper at the club. Current highly rated shot stopper Steve Mothorpe has been strongly linked with a move to Winchester City. Hollick confesses that the club had to put in a lot of work to keep him and believes he's one of the best goalkeepers in the division.
I love this. Brilliant. Well done for just giving it whatever, something new, some stats. Excellent. Really, really good.
I've gone on to record saying I think Steve and Winborn lad Jason Harville are the two best goalkeepers in the league. So on their day, you know, they're outstanding. So yeah, we fought quite hard to keep Steve. He was on a contract anyway, and he was aware of the interest with Winchester.
Next up, Hollick's side face a league clash against Tiverton Town after crashing out of the FA Trophy to them last weekend.
When you zoom in like that, you can see that unless you have a smooth zoom in and you move from side to side, it gets really jerky and looks like, whoa, it looks like you're drunk. So be very careful when you're zooming in. What I would say is that the zoom in and zoom out should be rarely used. They should only be used for effect. What we try to do when we film something is replicate what the eye can see, and an eye can never zoom in and zoom out. So just be careful how you use that.
Jack Sear, Winchester News Online, Totton.
As part of WINOL tradition, Dominic Chandler brings you your goals of the month for September.
I like that. That's absolutely fine, and I love the fact that we've got a sting to go on it. What is a shame is that we got some cruddy goals as goal of the month. But what I do like is this. You do have to leave it up long enough so we can actually see it. And there's a lot of information here, so we've got to see it. Up for a bit.
Snap continues to push on here. That's a dangerous cross. And that's a dangerous header. What a goal! A hammerhead header from Harris gets Sal back in the game. Basingstoke still holding on here. Oh, and Macklin's through. He's got to score here. The keeper's in no man's land. And Basingstoke seal their place in the next round of the FA Cup thanks to super sub Lloyd Macklin.
Just be careful when you're doing the commentary afterwards, which is what we call a spoof commentary. You don't anticipate everything, because the more you do that, the more it sounds like you've done it afterwards. We always try and get away with the fact that we've done it afterwards by not preempting too much. So just be careful.
Here's Rawkins with an inviting cross. And Gosling gets the goal. It's 4-0. What a header!
Log on to the WINOL Twitter and Facebook page to vote for your favourite. The winner will be announced online next week.
Which is great. Let's have some interaction. I'm not sure we've done it before, so it's good.
A fan of Eastleigh Football Club has been shocked as his application for the vacant managerial job at the club has gone viral. Gareth Wright, who is originally from Newport in the Isle of Wight, is one of many who have applied for the position, but failed to make it through to the 8-strong shortlist, for which interviews are expected to conclude by tomorrow.
We do this thing as a bit of fun called Stop the Team. There's a few rules to it. One of them being, if your manager gets sacked, you have to apply for the job. It's been brilliant fun though. Eastleigh Football Club, especially the chairman, have been absolutely brilliant about it, taking it in the way it was meant as a bit of a laugh.
One fan on a mission. It will be interesting to see where this one goes.
What I'd like to know is what he said. I mean, I can't read this. Obviously, it's not going to be up long enough, and I still haven't read it. But okay, he's applied, but on what sort of grounds, and how he's done it, and what he might have said in this letter. I know it's Adopt a Team or whatever, but okay, we need something a little bit more to put more flesh on the bones.
And finally, to kick off Women's Football Week, our campus reporters take us through what's been happening on home turf.
This is only the beginning. Hampshire FA are putting Winchester girls to the test for Women's Football Week.
This is really nicely put together. I mean, you've got some really decent shots. You've thought about the way to do it. Sticking it to music is clearly a good idea. Apologies for freezing there, but it's all just really nicely done. So you've just thought about it, made it a bit more interesting than the girls jumping up and down, and it just makes a lot of sense.
This week was through too much for our girls, but keep an eye on winol.co.uk as Women's Football Week unfolds.
Although I need a little bit more information on what actually is going on. Nice pics, but what's that all about?
It's all from the sports team. Back to the studio.
Georgie, well done. That's again, that confidence, looking good, sounding good. I think you could be helped out with a few of the links, but all in all, we can work on sport and it'll be very good. Just needs some fine tuning, but well done. And we've just got to freshen up our stories for next week.
For more on sport, head to winol.co.uk. In a moment, we'll have a sneak peek at the very best features produced by our team here. But first, surgeons in London have carried out...
See, it's so sophisticated, Brooke, to do that. Just to nod your head down before the next story and carry on reading. Really sophisticated to the news reading that. Well done.
Being called a groundbreaking new treatment that could cure blindness. British doctors have hailed the successful trial of the procedure, which took place at Moorfields Eye Hospital. Our science and technology correspondent, Sherelle Heslop, has the story.
And if you lost your auto cue there, or it wasn't there, and you were having to read part of that off your script, it looks like you've been a newsreader for about 20 years. So that was brilliantly handled.
Almost 2 million people in the UK are living with sight loss, but the London project by the University College of London are trialling a new stem cell treatment, which...
I think, sorry Sherelle, I think that is your opening shot. You've gone from inside to outside, and I think you're going to go inside for the interview, so I think that is your opening shot.
Successful will help cure certain types of blindness.
Local Winchester resident Keith Hatter is just one of many living with a form of progressive vision loss which leads to eventual blindness.
It could have. And that's a very different sound level you've got on those. You've done one outside, I think probably one inside or in different places. So you've got to be careful when you're doing your voiceover. It almost sounds like two different people. But this is your sequence. Excellent. You've gone inside, thought about it. Right, we'll have the door opening, but I'll be on the inside. So this, I think, is your opening few shots.
Well be that within a few years, should this line of research prove successful, it will also be applicable to closely related conditions such as mine. And in that contingency, yes, I would certainly be prepared to put myself forward both for the benefit of...
That shot gets the prize for the worst shot of the bulletin, because it actually doesn't show anything. It's a pan round his house. It doesn't really start. It doesn't really stop. And there's nothing in the middle. So don't use that. You've got him reading a Braille book. Something like that is going to be better than that shot previously. Never use a shot like that. It says nothing.
And for the obvious selfish reason that it might in fact restore some of my own sight.
Hope and goal is that it would be a one-off treatment. Hopefully it would be a surgery which would be done within an hour at least. One of the major concerns is to make sure it is definitely safe.
What is very difficult is actually to read those words while somebody else is talking. So you can never actually decipher, even though you've highlighted it. I've never had a chance to read what was on the screen and to listen to the doctor involved there. So actually it's better to have the still store of the doctor talking and then maybe having some shots of this gentleman rather than going to that page which was trying to explain about his illness. And then what you've done, you've also used the same shot again. So what this says, as somebody who is packaging a story, is you haven't got enough shots, because already, even though this is probably only a minute and a half long, you have to repeat a shot you've used before. And we never do that. So you need more shots. So when you go out, you shoot, you shoot, you shoot. You're probably going to shoot 6 times as many shots as you're going to need. It's usually, I mean, we used to average about 6 minutes for 1 minute of footage that you would use.
With an update due in December, someone may have their eyesight back timed for Christmas. Sherelle Heslop, Winchester News Online.
It's a great story, and well done for getting him, and well done for getting the doctor. That's really good. So, you know, it's important, but what is also nice is trying to explain about what this medical sort of innovation will do in a medical way, and if there's anything to illustrate that, that would obviously really enhance your piece.
And now for the features of the week. Sophie Hannam talks us through what the team have been up to.
Ewan Lyle takes us through the new sci-fi blockbuster Martian, along with some movie nightmares.
The film, directed by the legendary Ridley Scott, follows an astronaut stranded on Mars after a storm cuts him adrift from his crew.
Our travel and leisure writer, Amy...
I wonder, you know, those are such really good pictures with superstars in it. I just wonder whether that couldn't be a tease somewhere. Or maybe this.
Went out to explore the New Forest.
Autumn is now upon us, so it's time to dig out your wellies, grab a warm coat and wander around the colourful countryside.
There's a really good range of shots here, even the short piece I've seen here. You know, the quality's nice.
And Rebecca Herbert is looking at how you can turn your food favourites into healthy alternatives.
Put in the noodles and vegetables of your choice. A perfect and nutritious lunch on the go.
Make sure you head over to winol.co.uk to get your food, fashion and travel fix.
That's all from us here today.
Good stuff, well done, Sophie. I think that's a nice mix of teasing stuff from the website, so well done.
But remember, there's always more. For more award-winning news, head to winol.co.uk.
Brooke, I mean, it's great. What I love about this, I mean, there's so much girl power going on during this bulletin. I mean, it's just completely dominated by women. And then I look at the titles as well. And then, look, it's just dominated. Olivia has directed, Amy in the gallery as well. I mean, it's great stuff and very impressive. So, look, we've got a lot to learn. We've got a long way to go. But the basics of things here are good. It's been cleanly put through the gallery. It's been cleanly put together. There's some sophisticated work there. Miriam, specifically from you. Sport, we need to get a few more ideas together. And also we need more stories to really flesh out our bulletin. But from a basic level, if you think this is our first bulletin of the year, and many of you won't have done anything like this before, I would say well done. And yeah, I look forward to watching your improvement as it goes on throughout the year.